Okay, so here we go. The Indiana Pacers are reportedly moving towards a substantial rebuild and are expected to open up trade conversations around some of their veterans amid a disappointing 10-16 start, according to Shams and Bob Kravitz of The Athletic. Those talks are reportedly centered on veteran guard Karis LeVert and either one of their two centers, Domantas Sabonis or Myles Turner. Malcolm Brogdon already signed a 2-year extension, and he isn't eligible to be dealt this season. So, first thing I want to say about that, I do think this is the right move for the Pacers. This is obviously not a bunch that is going to be a contender. Now, they have had their fair share of injuries that have derailed a lot of the good things that they were able to do, but this is a couple years into this experiment with Sabonis, Turner, and I just don't think this Pacers team is ever going to hit their ceiling and be a team that can realistically make some noise in an Eastern Conference that has gotten very, very good. So I do agree that the Pacers just got to swallow their pride and blow it up. Now, what is going to be interesting is the fallout of all of this. Which teams are going to be aggressive and call Indiana looking to get one of LeVert, Sabonis, and Turner? And I did want to make a video on this because the Toronto Raptors have a glaring hole at the center position. And I know Raptors fans have talked about Myles Turner in the past. I know I was one of those fans that talked about Myles Turner in the past. And this is a guy that, in essence, would be a very good fit on the Raptors. So I thought it would make sense to talk about this a little bit. And I mean, this too, coming on the same day that Josh Lewenberg has reported that there's been no update on Anunoby or Birch per Nick Nurse. They're out for the foreseeable future. So all of a sudden, the Raptors, who are without Khem Birch for the foreseeable future, who do have Precious Achiuwa, who, let's be honest, he's not the everyday starting center for this team, do need a center if they want to be competitive. And Myles Turner, a name that has been brought up before, has once again been brought up on Raptors Twitter. And you know, when it's brought up on Raptors Twitter, it gets everybody talking. And there might be a chance. But let's talk about this. So, in essence, what could the Raptors offer for Myles Turner? Now, this is the part where it gets tricky because the Raptors have a lot of the salaries that would not match in a trade for Turner. I mean, let's clear the air to begin here. You're not parting ways with a Siakam. You're not parting ways with a Fred VanVleet. You're not parting ways with OG Anunoby, which, by the way, I saw a ridiculous trade rumor in the summer that suggested the Raptors should trade OG for Turner straight up. Hell no. So you're keeping your core in check. You're not trading any of your big players. Gary Trent Jr., of course, you know, he's not going anywhere. Scotty Barnes untouchable. So that really leaves a couple of players that could be entertained in a trade conversation. And those players are a Goran Dragic, a Chris Boucher, and a Malachi Flynn. Those are three players that, if you asked me, are players on the hot seat, if you will, when it comes to trades. Those are the three guys I'm naming. Now, money does become an issue because you cannot offer all those guys for Myles Turner because the money won't work. Goran Dragic is making $19 million. So, in theory, you know, moving him and a Chris Boucher, you would have to get somebody else from Indiana. But could the Raptors parlay something that would make sense? And would Indiana be willing to just take on, let's just say, a Goran Dragic, a Chris Boucher, Malachi Flynn, and picks? Would they be willing to give up a Myles Turner and other assets to make that work? That remains to be seen. But that would be the realistic option that I see the Raptors get a Myles Turner. I mean, you're not trading any of your big-time players, and you would have to get lucky in terms of Indiana agreeing to something where you are shipping a Boucher, a Dragic, and a Malachi Flynn at most. And you're probably going to have to include some picks and all of that. So obviously Indiana is going to get a lot of compelling offers for Sabonis, for Myles Turner from other teams that could very well see themselves as a contender in the East. So it could get interesting in terms of what packages and what trades are being sent to Indiana for those three players they're looking to move. Now, in terms of the fit, I think Myles Turner would be an awesome fit. The Raptors need a center. They need a guy like Turner who's a tremendous shot blocker, a guy who's able to, you know, get you a bunch of rebounds. He's a good defender. And I think he would be a very good fit on a Raptors starting lineup that would see guys like Siakam, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, and a Gary Trent Jr. And then where does that leave Scotty Barnes? We're not going to talk about that in today's video. But all in all, you get a guy like Myles Turner, you start to see the Raptors would have a complete five. They would have a very formidable five, and they would have a center in Turner who is that, a true center. And Raptors fans know it's been a while since the Raptors have had a true big, dating back to Serge Ibaka being here. Myles Turner would be an incredible get for the Raptors. The biggest challenge is how are they going to make that happen? So you look at this Raptors team, there have been rumors that they could reportedly look to move a Chris Boucher. Obviously, Goran Dragic's name has been on the trade block for a while. It's only a matter of time until he is, somewhere else, whether it's via the buyout option or a trade. There's no future for Dragic here on this team. Malachi Flynn is the interesting one because he's still so raw, so young. Would the Raptors be willing to let go of him this early into his tenure? All things would have to be on the table. But the one thing I'll say is this, guys. If the Raptors are realistic and they do want to be viewed as a very solid team in the East and a competitive team in the East, and there I say it, a contender in the East, they gotta get a center who is going to elevate this team. Ken Birch, he's a great player, but he's not the long-term solution at center for this Raptors team. And Precious Achiuwa, I think, is much better from off the bench as that backup center than he is as an everyday center. So the Raptors, if they want to be a formidable contender in the East for the seasons to come, they gotta get better at that center position. And if they're looking to do it right now, then yeah, maybe they do get creative and call Indiana and ask them, okay, how can we make this happen? What is it going to take? Or if the Raptors are willing to play the long-term game, then they keep their team as is, and maybe you can get a center via an upcoming draft or in the offseason. But as it stands right now, if the Raptors want to go for this season in terms of being a playoff team, I think getting a guy like Myles Turner, all things considered, if the Raptors are healthy, OG comes back, which, by the way, that is alarming that he's out for the foreseeable future. The Raptors should get aggressive and go after a guy like Myles Turner. But if they're willing to play the long-term game, then keep it as is. Keep retooling, if you will. Keep on this rebuilding type of season where you go through your ups and downs and then evaluate your needs at the end of the season. So it's going to come down to where Masai sees this Raptors team right now. If he thinks this team can be competitive this season, he could get aggressive. But if he's willing to play the up and down season, the growing pain season, which he did allude to at the start of the season, then I don't expect Masai to do anything. And I think he's just going to let the season roll out. And the biggest move we'll see is what happens with Goran Dragic. But all in all, Myles Turner would be a tremendous fit on the Raptors. I think he would be the solution at center. He is young. He is versatile. I love his game. And I think he would be a very good complementary piece on this Raptors team that, again, they are defense first focused, or at least they want to be defense first focused. Obviously, we haven't seen that in a lot of these losses, but the Raptors, this would be something that the Raptors could look to. And this is something that I don't think you should dismiss. And you should at least inquire to see what it would take. So that is my 2 cents on all these rumors. Again, the Raptors have not been reportedly one of the teams. All I'm simply doing here is speculating if Myles Turner would be a good fit with the Raptors. And I'm saying he would be. And this is a guy that I've brought up in the past. And here he is now on the trade block reportedly, coming from the news that the Pacers are looking to rebuild and they're looking to get rid of their guys in exchange for future assets. So future assets do suggest that the Pacers are going to be looking for a lot of picks. Let's call it for what it is. So is that worth it? That's something the Raptors got to ask themselves as they possibly look at this. So I did want to do a video on it, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell. And let me know your thoughts down below. Raptors are in action on Wednesday. And we'll see if Masai has a trick up his sleeve.